And Dear Father, we just praise you for this day. Thank you for the rain. God, thank you just for bringing everyone here, Father. And God, be with us today, Lord, as we do the business of our Cherokee people, Lord. Just guide us and direct our thoughts, Father. And God, we just God, we thank you for so much. And most of all, we thank you for your cross. Again, just be with us today. Amen.
Amen.
We need a roll call. Yes.
Would you mind if we just explain the necklaces that we left for everyone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sally was
Yeah.
here with me, so.
Yeah, go explain the next.
Fill in on the last meeting. We've done something in the past that kind of gave you all a visual of how many children are in custody in your area that we're working with. And so the colored beads on that are the children. The corn beads are how many families are in your area. So some of you all, there may not be very many children, but some of the children from other areas may be in the corn beads. So we just wanted you all to see that. There's some clear beads on there, and that signifies the hope for more homes. It would be great if we worked ourselves out of a job and that we had more homes waiting on children than children waiting on homes. So that gives you all a visual of what's in your area. I put the numbers on the back as well. So any questions? I will say that some of you all overlap in the county, so someone else's children in their actual jurisdictional boundary of yours that, you know, when you look at the big picture, they're all ours anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Chief.
Thank you very much. Well thought out, and I saw Wanda. Let's show your necklace there.
They weren't intended for you to wear, but great.
See Wanda, and look at Jack's over there. When you handed those out, I thought it was the amount of beads you got was based on income. But I looked closer, but very well thought. Thank you, we appreciate you.
Yes, Councilor Hart.
What's your name?
Sally Wilson.
Sally. Thank
I'm
you
a
very
recruiter
much.
for ICW.
Yeah, I knew that, but I just couldn't remember your name. Thank you very
Right
much.
here,
Hey,
can you see us?
Nick and say thank you for the awareness.
Well,
All right. Do your roll call, Michelle.
Yes, sir. Dave
On
Lumsden,
it.
John Garvin, Bill England,
Here.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Jack Baker, Harley Buzzard,
Here.
Joe Bird,
Honey?
Sean Crittenden, Frankie Hargis, Wanda Hatfield, Rex Jordan,
Here.
Dick Lang, Curtis Snell,
Here.
Denise Taylor, David Thornton,
Honey.
Victoria Vesquez, Brian Warner. We do have a quorum.
I hear a motion to approve the minutes of April 11th, 2016. Second. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Motion carries. Down to reports. Talking Leaf Job Corps, Career Services, Vocational Ed. Ms. Diane Kelly. Diane, I heard they crowned you as the Miss Strawberry Queen. Is that correct?
No, that was Wanda.
She got beat out again.
Yeah, I got beat out again.
Well, the berries are good again. You guys have done it again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I would like to say special thanks to all of you who participated in this year's Stillwell Strawberry Festival. It was a successful event, and you know, you never know where Speaker Bird's going to appear in that parade. He's not even listed anywhere. You just have to watch. It's kind of like finding Waldo in those magazines where you got to find the speaker in the parade. But he always comes
He's
through.
going to jump out at you.
Yeah. Well, Wanda and I had our 45th class reunion, and we had a good turnout.
Really?
Yes. So everything went off good.
Yeah, Chuck Garrett said that he attended that. Was Chuck Garrett there?
He was at the all-school reunion.
All school reunion.
Yeah,
Okay.
that happened, and then our reunion happened after that.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Well, next year will be the 70th, so you guys need to remember that. So
Okay.
we expect Curtis to ride his horse next year. He wasn't in the parade this year. We didn't see him.
I lost my babysitter.
Uh-oh.
I got a big baby.
That's why it was cold. You didn't show up.
Yeah, the lady was gonna come and take care of Lisa, you know, be there. Last 8 o'clock that morning, she said, I can't come today.
Well, we looked for you, didn't we, Frankie?
Oh, sir, you trying to look still.
Yes, Diane Barker.
Diane, I think this is right, because I wasn't there, because I was at my son's grandson's wedding, but one of our Supreme Court justices, John Garrett, was awarded for school reunion as awarded as
The outstanding alumni.
Really?
Outstanding alumni.
Yeah.
Wow, that says a lot.
Yeah.
There's been some very successful people coming out of Stillwell. Man, that's that small town. But not Woodall.
Job Corps is hiring 2 new outreach counselors. We cover the whole state of Oklahoma, and somebody asked me the other day, do you go into New Mexico? I said we do a week-long there in New Mexico. We also cover Kansas, the bordering states. And if there is someone out in California, because I think some of you asked me about the photo ID events whenever Linda and her group goes out, if we had people from Job Corps there. Normally, what they do is they let us just recruit in the whole state and in the borders, but if there's somebody that comes up to you at one of the photo IDs and says they want to come to Talking Leaves, they can go to their regional Job Corps and request to be sent to Talking Leaves because of their being a Native American. So I just wanted to point that out. But at some point in time, Jay said he could send some of his recruiting staff. The manager over recruitment and outreach is Jonna Lewis, and Sandra Baker is over she supervises all of the outreach counselors. Our reentry coming home program, headed up by Daryl Legg and Mary Dunlap, we have worked with over 116 reentry clients thus far this year. Wow. And they are doing some real good positive things. We think they're pretty successful, but we haven't done a follow-up. We're going to do a follow-up at the end of the fiscal year and see how good it's been. We're also working on a list of vacant buildings in the 14 counties. One of my counselors had a death in her family, so that kind of put us on the back burner, and she'll be back at work next week, so they're going to start working on that. She did this for me before, so she kind of knows how to do it. So I'm letting her kind of head that up. We're anxiously awaiting the 2 grants that we submitted to the Department of Labor. Startup date for both those grants is in June, and we're already in the middle of May, so we're hoping that we will hear something real soon. We've been on the website looking to see if there's been any announcements made, and there hasn't been. So sometimes no news is good news, we hope, so we've got our fingers crossed. So maybe by the end of the month, maybe I'll have some news for you. I hope that we have got one of those grants. I've been working with Gary Cooper at the Housing Authority to identify some trainees. I noticed in your committee meeting, y'all were talking about, the rehab program. And we had some day training people assigned to the rehab group last year. And Gary and I have been conversing, and we're hoping to have some trainees over there by the 1st of June, and we're going to put them on a work experience program where they can get actual minimum wage while they're in training. And we hope to run them up through September the 30th and then look at maybe doing on-the-job training for them after that. Some of the guys that's been on day training that had been previously are good carpenters, so hopefully we'll be able to recruit some of those guys back. We're going to assign 10 over there. One Fire golf tournament that we've been doing with the One Fire group and Nikki and her group, Larry Vance, John Smith, and Stephanie and Deborah and them are going to be coordinating that One Fire golf tournament, and it's this Friday. I think some of you guys may be playing in it. And Cherokee Nation Businesses Job Fair, Hunter wanted me to report that. We have a job fair that's going to be tomorrow. And there's like 22 different job titles at the Hard Rock in Tulsa. Some of these positions require like 2 or 3 sous chefs or stewards or housekeepers. So there's several positions that are open tomorrow. So if you know anybody up in that area that's needing a job, tell them to come by the job fair. We'll have people there assisting them with their resume building as well. We also have another job fair that's going to take place June the 15th from 12 to 4, and it's going to be held at the new J. Sam Hyder Clinic. We took a road trip last Friday, Brenda and George and Hunter and I, and went up to the construction site up at Grove to see what's going on up there, and we're going to invite the construction people to come to the job fair to set up there at the clinic. So if there's some laborers that they need up in that area, then they'll be part of that job fair. But it's scheduled for June the 15th, and we'll have some flyers coming out about that. Mike Fisher was really gracious to work with us in trying to establish perimeters there in the clinic for us to do that job fair, and he said Wednesday was a good day to do it. So we appreciate that. And if you haven't seen the new clinic at Jay, you need to go by and see it. It's beautiful. We also had a float in the parade Saturday, and I believe Teresa told me a while ago that she thinks they won second place. And the staff worked really hard on that. And the dogs at the Housing Authority, I told George maybe he needed to start a dog grooming training program. So I don't know if he was very appreciative of that or not, but anyhow, it was kind of a joke, but it was fun. Do y'all have any questions?
Yes, Bill?
Yeah, Diane.
It was glad to. There are a lot of businesses that are located in the United States, and we've got two major jobs that we're looking at right now, one in the northern end and one in the western side of the 14 counties. Of course, they've got different names. I can't tell you the names of them, but we've had several conference calls, and we're working with the points of contact for those businesses. And as soon as we can share the information with you, we will.
Good. Because they're expanding because of that all-day breakfast deal at McDonald's now, and that's going to be the central place for it.
Great, great.
Yes, Frank?
Diane, on the golf tournament, is it full or can there still be teams in it?
I believe it's full. I believe it's full. I can ask Larry and get back with you, though, Councilman Hardison.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Diane, good report.
Thank you.
Next is the Executive Director's report, Mr. Ron Etheridge. Jennifer Peden.
Good afternoon. You have our report. If there's any questions, we'll do our best to answer them.
Questions for Education Department?
I just have a comment. During the Health Committee report, we talked about contract health and the budget and how our numbers are increasing, tribal members, and our enrollment reflects that. And I know we'll be dealing with the same issue here, and I really appreciate and commend you guys for managing our funds the way you do, because when you look at the numbers of people that are going on to higher ed, I've seen the increase in, every year we're going to be faced with this, but I just want to commend you, Jennifer, for you guys controlling our budget and make sure we're not too far out there and making sure we're balanced and we can still take care of our people that want to go into higher ed. Commend you for that.
We appreciate it. One thing I would like to remind you while we're here, June 15th is the scholarship deadline. So if you can kind of help us put that word out there and help the students get the applications in. We've got the computer lab in our office, or, if we need to go somewhere, we can meet somewhere. Anywhere we can meet a night or something, we can do that too. Just let us know what we need to do to help students get applied.
That's the 2000.
June 15th, right?
June 15th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Yes, Councilman Garvin?
You had a chance to look at those people that's incarcerated for his educational help.
Don, I prepared for you.
I knew you would.
I figured there was going to be a question or two. We called Danny Hadaway.
Yes.
Is that who you spoke to initially?
Right.
Okay. And I know that he's spoke to Chair Walkenstick. In fact, said he was going to be on the agenda in June, correct?
Just correct.
Okay. So anyway, we have visited. Dr. Morton told me, he said you ought to go visit the prison. So I asked him, I said, is that possible? And he said, well, it's a little bit tougher to do than it used to be. So He said, I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. He said, we've got a room with chairs in it, a podium for a teacher, 4 walls, and a chalkboard. And I even mentioned, okay, is there a way to show me that by way of videotape or something? We're not allowed to have cameras in there. And I said, okay, what other means do you use to teach besides that, and how many instructors do you have come to the correctional facility? And he said, we have like a couple instructors come, but mostly it's talk back, and then sometimes it's correspondence is what they have. They have right at 92 taking classes this past semester. Of course, I asked him, I said, well, how many of those would be Cherokee, or could you tell me? And he said, no. I said, can you find out that data for us? So, we will have an idea what we're possibly looking at. And he said, yes. He said, I'll go to working on that. Jennifer, as she does in everything that we have, and you were complimenting us, and believe me, I have to compliment her too, because she keeps us consistent and lets me know money-wise where we stand and everything. And so if we have issues where we have conflicts with where people maybe have missed deadlines and things like that, we have to look at that. I mean, I think you want us to look at that. And so anyway, we try to look at the whole parameter and what it's going to involve, and the money that it possibly could cost us. We look at the other tribes, what they're doing. We know they have to have a release date of 5 years before they will educate them in any way or pay any funding of any kind. We looked at the Creeks and the Chickasaws. And in both cases, they pretty well fund what they fund for anyone else. But in talking to this gentleman, who is actually, his title is senior principal of the Oklahoma semester. There's 93 that's enrolled that are taking a funding. How does that come about? He said it's their family. He said anything beyond the 3 hours or whatever, it's their family that's funding that. Jennifer had a great idea, all deemed necessary that we go ahead and fund, which we're not saying we're in opposition of it, that we do it similar to how we do concurrent, meaning that the college will basically issue us a statement and where we have a situation where maybe leads to where it could be maybe they enrolled, maybe they didn't. We know if they did it through the college that it's an actual deal. So we're looking at that. There's only one actual prison inside the 14 county area, and that's in Veneta. That's the only prison. I wouldn't have known that had she not provided that data right there. But the continuous county, there's 6 more. And so, there's no Pell because you cannot grant Pell for someone that's been incarcerated. So anyway, that's just kind of some things that we're looking at. We know he'll be here. We asked that if it would take new legislation, we're in hopes that it would take new legislation. We're in hopes that you would deem that to leave what we have already budgeted, for, our college people there, and then possibly, come up with some additional funding. So, but we'll know more, Don, when it comes time in the June meeting, which June meeting is what, the 12th? And 15th's the deadline for our thing there. So it would have to be something in addition to what we're already funding. Other questions?
Thank you very much. It was a good report. Put a lot of effort into it. And who'd you say was coming? Is Dan coming over?
Yes, yeah, Danny's coming. He's going to come and to that, so he'll be able to give us a little insight. And hopefully, he's done some research and can find out, regarding these other institutions, how many Cherokees that we may have there is wanting to be educated.
Thank you very much, Ron.
You
Thank you,
bet.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none. Your report, Ron.
Okay. I'm also Verna.
Okay.
And Verna couldn't make it. She had a conflict today, but she wanted me to tell you all that she has met with Christina Carroll regarding storm shelters, and she said Chair Walkenstick knew of this and could report on it probably as well as she could. But grants being written for storm shelters up there for the early childhood. So anyway, that's the new news that she has right there. So, but anyway, other than that, I wouldn't know anything. So that's it. That's all I've got. You got any more? Okay.
Roz, since you're Verna, at their leadership banquet they had the other day, a group of their graduating class did a project on a need for the immersion in the Head Start. And what they came up with was safe schools. And one of their big projects was funding getting security cameras put up around the campus and possibly a gate just to secure the premise. You guys see what's going on every day in the news with schools. And they had a really good plan as far as it was economical. It was putting cameras in surplus, getting with CMB and seeing if they got old equipment. And you guys have been really proud of their proposal and presentation they put together and how resourceful they were. But it's also good to see that Verna and them are developing leaders inside the tribe through curriculum, exposing them to other leaders that have been successful throughout the tribe. So I really commend them on what they're doing over there. So
We'll pass that on.
If you could echo that
Okay,
on.
you betcha.
there.
You betcha. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Jennifer. Next, down to Sequoia High School, Superintendent Leroy Qualls. Wasn't he a coach? Back and suspended a few games, so they did that with him. It's Miss America. And Principal
Good afternoon,
Jolene
everyone.
Schultz.
For those that haven't met, our high school principal, she's one of the reasons, one of the people to blame that I've got so many things to brag on when I come down. But this is Jolene Schultz, our high school principal. It's her 4th year there also at our school. So if you have any questions of her as I go, well, you can ask.
What year was you Miss Indian USA?
After statehood.
Yeah, this is our former Miss Indian USA we got here as well. And Mr. Qualls is Mr. Cherokee. I'm just kidding. So,
Now, I'm kind of glad that you brought up the fact of cameras being needed at the schools. Last week, we had a BIE inspection. That was one of the things that they brought up. 3 years ago, we did a self-assessment, and we found at that time that we were short of cameras and needed more cameras also at the high school. However, after getting a bid on those cameras, if I remember right, it came out to like almost $80,000 to do the entire campus. And keep in mind, we have dorms also 24/7. At that time, we just didn't have the money to put into it. One good thing become of this meeting last week, there was a couple of things that they said we needed to correct, and both were non-monetary items. One classroom had too much paper on the walls. VIE standards say 50% or less. And those of you who've been in elementary schools know that that probably wouldn't fly at a lot of elementary classrooms, but we corrected that. The other was a transformer having too many things near it, and that was corrected because it does give off some heat. That could be a problem if it's covered up, so that was corrected. And I said, well, while I've got you guys in here, look at my whiteboard here. And on it was the safety school concerns that we have. We have 5 entrances into Sequoia. They noted that, open. And that's not to mention someone coming on by foot. We had a ATF chase that ended on our campus about 3 weeks ago. And without any major incident, we find out about 30 minutes after it's over with. And we had someone walk onto campus that was intoxicated a week and a half or so ago. That was taken care of. Watching today, when the rain started, our kids walk almost a quarter of a mile to the robotics classroom. Never heard a complaint. They just do it. And it's kind of like the old days, the old school. You know, you just do it. But I did get to point out a lot of things that we have. I think 5 outlying buildings or 6 outlying buildings. You know, for school safety concerns, everyone would like to have it under one roof, but they took this and said they would go back to Albuquerque and do some research to see if there was any kind of money that we could get for cameras. And I mentioned too that some of our buildings are 86 years old or so. They noted the football field, the stadium, the visitor concession will be turning 100 years old. We had coaches on it last year trying to film. There was a grease fire. The smoke engulfed them. I called over and told them to have them removed because I was afraid they were going to fall off. But they took all this with a positive approach, and I said, write us up where we're short because we're in the middle. We need to do a self-assessment on our own and see what we can do to improve Sequoia High School's grounds or Sequoia School's grounds. Safety's number one for us. Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you since it was brought up at the previous
That's important.
report. Our robotics team won the World Sportsmanship Award for the 2nd year in a row at the robotics competition. We'll be losing a math teacher this year that has been there for about 20 years, Mr. Joe Morris, who has taught algebra and trig. We'll miss him, and sad to say that we lost a very valued teacher and coach recently, and Coach Jacob Tanner. He was a man of high character. I know there was a time that we brought him in and asked him if he wanted to be a head coach, and the guy, you know, he was at Wagner as a head football coach for years. He's been there and done that. We talked to him in years past, and he said, I'd rather just support somebody else. Let them do it. I'll do my best to make them look good. That type of person, but he'll be sorely missed by not only our faculty, but our students. Sequoia Track had 11 top 10 finishes at the state track meet, and they were highlighted by Brittany Poe's runner-up finishes in the shot and the disc. And the 28th of April, we had a signing for Brittany Poe, signing with OBU for track, Cody Christie for Cameron University. Is it Deanna? Gary?
It's Deanna.
Deanna, with Bacon College. And tomorrow, we've got 3 graduations, starting with our Cherokee Immersion School at 9:30. Our big people, our kindergartners get to graduate. That's always so really cute, and they do a good program. They do a good job with that graduation. It'll be in the new gym. And at 6, we got 6th grade graduation. And I think we've got added an 8th grade graduation at 2. So the kids are going to get their props, and we'll try to have good messages for those kiddos. High school graduation, Friday night at 6:30. If it runs like it has the last few years, it'll be a packed house. And they're in the new gym also. You want to announce the Indian Oklahoma Junior Miss?
I can. China Chupko, who is, she was in the immersion and is a freshman this year, was just recently crowned Junior Miss Indian Oklahoma.
Chief Burke?
Yes, comment. Yeah, Ms. Schultz, last year's graduation, it really just, very impressive on the way you guys handled the graduation. The valedictorian, I think when we announced, she had a 32 on her ACT
That is correct.
and had a full ride. It was like 300,000-400,000. That was unheard of. That might have been the first of somebody of that caliber. I think was it to Harvard or where?
Mm-hmm.
Harvard is like 400,000, full ride, had a 32 ACT.
And
And
60
I know
hours.
you worked really long hours to improve our ACT scores and our academics. Anybody even close this year, that type of ACT?
32.
32.
Again?
Again.
Well, whatever you're doing, you just keep it up. I mean,
It's in the
Well,
Kool-Aid.
a lot of it is a student. I will tell you that right now. But
Good
when we
students.
provide the opportunities for them and they take the bull by the horns and ride him that full 8 seconds, then the sky's the limit for them. That student, our valedictorian, Jackson Wells, was also early accepted to Brown University. And
Oh,
so
wow.
we had up last year's with an equally impressive
that's awesome.
valedictorian this year.
Do we work with the Cherokee Education Foundation, Janice Randall, on some of this?
Yes, we do.
As part of,
We
okay.
do the junior achievement.
Well,
And
all right.
ACT prep.
Keep up the good work. We'll be there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just a couple of small things. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Couple of small things that are huge with us. I looked at our F list for last week. We only had 4. And in high school, that's something. I not only attribute that to our students and our teachers, but our after-school program with our tutoring.
Did you go back to 1996, or is this
No.
current?
I
Okay,
I did not go back that far.
okay.
And another thing is 0 dropouts again this year. So that's something to really be proud of.
Just for y'all's safe school plan, Mickey Spears would be a good resource for you guys. Visit with him, see if he has some cameras in surplus or have some in the coming future. We can see what we can do on those. The other thing is we visited about was energy over there at the school and the tribe as a whole. Bruce, are you here? Okay. You know, with all the schools right now, with all the budget cuts going on, they're having to, you know, they're going to 4-day weeks. They're shutting the utilities off in the summer. They're really trying to find ways to save money. And, you know, over at Sequoia and Cherokee Nation as a whole, a lot of our energy is 24/7. Like wintertime, it's going full blast. In summertime, we got our gyms are going 24/7. And over at Muskogee, what we do is the whole thing's on a computer. Like the whole entire district, 15 buildings, is on a, and if somebody needs to be in one area of the building for a certain time, they can program it for 2 or 3 hours in that part of the building. But as a result of that, we've saved over $400,000.
Wow, that's a big deal.
And so we can really save a lot of money in the tribe by going through that system. And I want to visit with Bruce and Mr. Qualls and y'all staff on how we can cut back on our savings on energy costs.
I think you're saving today, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, we started today. So, but anyways, so if Bruce, is there some way you guys can look into that, or we can set up a meeting and see what are those costs to set it up where it's on one control system, because right now we're relying on our janitorial staff to be sure lights are off, computers are off, so forth. But something we really need to look into. And I can guarantee it'll probably be in the hundreds of thousands what we would save. Yes, Bruce?
I think that'd be a good meeting for Mr. Qualls and I to sit down and Ron probably and talk about the energy savings. So we'll set that up. We'll let you know.
If you would. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. Do we have any other comments or questions?
I would just like to add that the council did pass a resolution, a trespass resolution as far as school and Head Starts are concerned, and I can completely appreciate that, most definitely. And Officer Timothy just reported to me today, as a matter of fact, that there were 2 individuals that came onto the gym parking lot, the new gym parking lot, and tried to park and then get on the transit. This becomes more of an issue. Now, if they get on the transit, I get it. At the same time, we don't know who they are. Then they are vehicles that, are we going to be held accountable if any damage is done to them while they are sitting in our parking lot? So with the resolution that the council passed, Officer Timothy has the authority to say, I'm sorry, you cannot park here, you don't have this, and so I completely appreciate what you have done for us. That helps us tremendously.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Jolene. All right. Well,
Any other questions,
say done. Good
inquiries?
report.
Okay,
Keep up the
thank
good
you.
work. All right. Down to old business, none pending. New business, none. Announcements, next meeting's June 13th. And I hear a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second discussion. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All right.